Hey everybody, Star 6 Wars 1 here, and welcome back to the Months of Gainax. At long last, because actually the Karen Kano review was recorded before I got sick. I have done no recording for this for weeks. Oh god, it feels good to be back to this again. So, what are we reviewing today? This ugly yet beautiful world. Now, this is actually part of three ones that were a joint project between Gainax and Shaft. Now, I've seen a few Shaft shows before, but their ones really are in between, where I think Effa Tale of Memories and Madoka Magica are pretty damn good. Shaft is not one I've really heard much about beyond there. So yeah, Shaft. And the only other series I've seen with them we'll get to later this month of Gainax, and might add that's not a good thing. But again, we'll get to that later. Right now, we're going to be reviewing the technically the second of the Gainax Shaft shows, this ugly yet beautiful world. Now, the plot starts with Takaru discovering a girl covered in light and literally drops down right into his arms. And then he has to go straight into a battle to protect her from a monster. I will be honest here and actually say this. The plot, I know that's an basic plot summary and there's much more to go over, but I'm not really going to talk too much about it because I fear if I talk about much more I'll get into major spoilers. Unless you've seen my reaction videos in that I mentioned, and one of them kickstarts the apocalypse. Yeah, this show is actually has a very interesting plot. I will be very honest in saying this right now. The plot feels very Gainax. What do I mean by that? To those who have watched Evangelion, this feels like a lighter and softer version of Evangelion, except with a different plot format and, you know, likable characters. Burn on Eva? Okay, in all seriousness though, I actually do really like the plot in this one. It's not like Evangelion where the plot just fell apart after a certain point, like episode 4-ish, where the plot just felt pretentious, repetitive, and then went to dark psychological town. Not that this doesn't either. But at least with this show, I actually enjoyed the plot, which is already more than I can say for Eva. Also, a bit of a fun fact about this show in particular, it's actually the 20th anniversary show for Gainax. And there are little hidden references to Gainax all over the place in this one. Actually, I think that'd be a fun game to play. Find all the Gainax references in this show. Because, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have noticed a lot of them if you were new to Gainax. And that's basically all I have to talk about the plot. Oh yeah, I have to talk about that part too, don't I? Right around episode 8, the show starts going into a dark psychological turn. Starting with a theme of death, which was done better in Persona 3, by the way. The dark turn is something I've got a problem with the series. To me, it did one aspect so good that its other aspect does not work. In this case, the lighter, softer comedy drama stuff and the romance actually works more to its advantage. If it had been just that with a few of the little things sprinkled in, I would have been okay with it. But the dark turn turn around episode 8 really starts to go where things I don't like. It starts becoming more like Evangelion, which I've already stated my opinion on Evangelion. Sorry to be talking so much about Evangelion here, it's the one show I can really define with this. So yeah, the dark turn... It doesn't come into full fruition, however, until episode 10. FYI, that's like the very last bit of the series. You only have 2 more episodes beyond that. And ultimately it comes down into something that I'll have to talk about later, because it ultimately comes down with an entire problem I have with Gainax in general. But more on that one later. Ultimately, besides the dark turn, I actually really don't mind the story. At least until the dark turn comes in. But again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So how do the characters hold up? Oy vey. Okay, the characters aren't bad. Let me point that out right now. The characters are not bad. But they could have been so much better. The characters range between good to annoying to I want to slap these characters. That's not a good thing. They're all over the place. And I'll give you the examples of the main characters. First up, we have Takaru. He's a better version of Shinji Ikari. He has got some very big emotional issues with love, and really is lacking, and very pessimistic. In short, he feels a lot like Shinji. The difference, he's a bit more cynical, and it's starting to go between him and Gendo Ikari. At least on this one, though, I don't mind Takaru. Because, well, he can be annoying at points with his more, oh, no one loves me thing. No offense to him. It doesn't help the fact that I don't find his voice actor does that convincing a job. No offense. But I do like him and his relationship with the next character I want to talk about, Hikari. Hikari is by far my favorite character in the show. And I think it's because of her innocence. That innocence, especially in the later half of the show, is so likable. And it's actually very similar reasons as to why I like Nia from Gurren Lagann the most. Now, unfortunately, she shares something else with Nia that I don't want to talk about. Because, well, I said it before and I'll say it again, I don't like the dark turn to the story, and Hikari is part of the centerfold of it. Damn it. Next up we have Rao. Very nice character, but kind of uninteresting at points. But I do like him. Sorry that I'm not giving him much more of a talk about, but I don't really have much else to talk about with him. He's nice. He's likable. That's all I need for him. Moving on. Next up we have Akari. Hikari's sister. Akari is actually a fairly interesting character. Very much like Hikari. You don't know where she comes from. You want to figure out more about her. And I just love this character. I want both of these two characters to have the great time. Unfortunately, the dark turn. Sorry, I won't shut up about the dark turn. Alright, there's one last character I want to talk about before I move on, because I'm already showing signs that I'm not liking some of this stuff. Mari. Okay. Quick warning here. I'm about to go into rage mode. And if you don't like that, that's fine, but here you go. Rage mode. I hate this character. God dang it, I hate this character. She is a bitch. She pretty much nags every single time for Takaru to do something. In the very first episode, already by that point, I didn't like her. But then Hikari shows up, and she becomes jealous, and finds out she's in love with Takaru, who, might I add, is her cousin. I did not need another SAO. Oh, and it gets better. At first she acts nice to Hikari, but as time goes on, she gets worse and worse. And my god, she's annoying. She's just annoying. And the worst part of it is, she's part of the reason that the apocalypse even happens. And part of the reason she is the reason I hate this character. And the worst of it all is, she's voiced by one of my favorite voice actresses, Lucy Christian. How? Just how? Okay, rage mode over for now. Honestly, but going back on that though, I want to go into the dub. I've heard people complain about Stephen Foster dubs before. I think this is the first time I'll definitely agree with them. This is not a good dub. At least not in my opinion. It's not a bad dub, but I don't think it's a good, really not all that good a dub either. A lot of voices, some of which I really like, are wasted here, like Monica Real, the aforementioned Lucy Christian, Chris Patton. The only two performances of the dub that I really like are Hilary Hagg as Rao's little sister, and Paul Odo as Ionius, aka the robot who gets drunk. I still don't quite know how that happens. Paul Odo is my personal recommendation of the dub. Really do like him. Good job, Paul Odo. I'm going to move on from characters before I get any more upset, because I don't know if you can tell this, but I kind of went on a bit of a rant there. Next up, the animation. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. The animation is actually really good. For 2004 standards, this is really good animation, and best of all, it stays on model. It's really awesome that it actually stays on model for once. Gainax shows have a very bad tendency to go out of their animation boundaries, but this one stays solid. And I really appreciate that. Thank you, Gainax, for making at least one show that stays consistent with its animation. Thank you. Next up, the music. The music's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's the greatest soundtrack ever either. There's one little theme that at the very beginning of an episode that I really like, but besides that, the rest of the soundtrack complements the show and nothing else. But if I had to give one thing for them, the opening and ending themes are actually pretty kick-ass. The opening theme actually reminded me in a good way of Evangelion's An Angel's Cruel Thesis. So, awesome on that for actually reminding me of something of Evangelion I actually kind of enjoyed. Even if that song was all about Shinji. And the ending theme is an odd kind of catchy, whereas I don't hate it. Weird. So yeah, that's my opinion on the music. Good job on the music, overall. Now, what are the problems with this series that I've not addressed yet? Because there are two more problems I've not addressed. One's a minor one, one is a huge one that ultimately hurt my experience of this show, and ultimately made me go into rage mode in the first place. I'm gonna go with the minor one first, the nudity. Well, definitely not to Maharomatic level bad, there was definitely some noticeable nudity, and in one episode you see every single girl naked from the show, and I don't like that. It's like, that's a reminder of Mahoromatic that I don't like. Did not need to be reminded of that, but I'll at least give it credit. The nudity at least stops after a certain point, or is at least used sparingly enough that it's not too aggravating. This is just a tiny bit annoying, not aggravating. The last thing, however, is quite the opposite. The ending of the show. Okay, to get into this, episode 10 kickstarts the apocalypse, which continues into episode 11 and episode 12. Episode 12 everts the apocalypse just for Hikari and Akari to disappear, potentially forever, and give me a downer ending this series really did not deserve. Okay. Rage mode time. Rage mode on. I hate this ending. I can't believe they did this again. It is another one. I had another experience with this similar in another Gainax show. The lovers are separated potentially forever once again, and I actually liked the couple. You smashed on my heart again, Gainax. This is like the second time you've done this. I am freaking pissed with you people. Your endings. Rage mode over. I need to explain something right now before I move on to the conclusion. Gainax has this very special talent that can make me so pissed off with their shows. I'm not kidding when I say their shows can make me pissed sometimes. God, they really know sometimes how to piss me off. Every single one of their shows so far, even the ones that I kinda like this one, somehow find a way to piss me off. It's a special talent that Gainax has. I want to love Gainax, I really do, but I can't ignore some of the stuff they do that really grind on me. So, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the months of Gainax, was to finally get it a full-on opinion to see if I actually like or hate Gainax. Because I'm so stuck in the middle, it's not even funny. Overall, this series, I know I've complained a lot about a few things, but I actually had a lot of fun with this series. Until episode 10. Especially episode 12 also. This series takes a dark turn that I really wish they didn't have. And an ending that I could easily rewrite one or two little things and give it a happier ending. Trust me, I am so tempted to right now. When I'm threatening to write fan fiction, you know it's a bad sign that I really despise this ending. Overall, it's actually a pretty good series, and I would recommend it, provided you're prepared for an ending you're probably not going to like. So overall, I give this ugly yet beautiful world a 7 out of 10. While it's not bad, and some of the minor complaints here are more nitpicks than anything else, with one or two actual things that bother me, like the ending, I do recommend this series to watch, and I actually think if you have to go and watch this series, I highly recommend it. Anyways, that's all from me. This has been Star 6 Wars 1. And I'm glad to be done this review. So excited for the next one. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Oh, fuck.